we can save. And to make us understand, here we have the senior most practicing medical oncologist in our country, founder, chairman, and managing director of VS Group of Hospitals, who has pioneered oncology in Tamil Nadu with over 5 decades of cancer fighting experience, with over 6 million consultations and ticking. His trademark patience and compassion, combined with academic brilliance, make him the most popular oncologist and great humanitarian of our times. Rated very highly by both his patients and fellow doctors, he is recently voted as one of the top 5 oncologists in a recent state survey. Professor Dr. S. Subramanian, sir, a very warm welcome to the webinar, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction.
I'm also excited to introduce the next panelist, who is a co-founder and very important face of Keto, a crowdfunding platform. He does not need introduction, but we always enjoy talking about him. A brilliant film and theatre actor with a heart of pure gold, which made him to start his first donation-based peer-to-peer crowdfunding platform in India. Keto stands for Key to Tomorrow, implying the founder's mission to create a change in society and connect people to access healthcare and share happiness. Keto is Asia's most trusted crowdfunding platform with a network of 55 lakh donors who fund more than 2 lakh online fundraisers. Happy to welcome Mr. Kunal Kapoor. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we have 2 eminent panelists over there. Welcome to the webinar jointly organized by Keto crowdfunding platform and VS Group of Hospitals. Let's move on to the questions quickly. Professor Dr. Subramanian, sir, can I start the session by asking the first question to you?
Sure.
So every year we see cancer is on the rise. Can you throw some light on the causes of cancer, sir?
Yes. Now, cancer incidence is going up all over the world, and in India also it's the same. The main reason is our lifestyle. As far as men are concerned, their habits of alcohol intake and tobacco usage is responsible for more than 60% of cancers in men. Coupled with this is the urbanization and the food habits. The adulteration of food, preservatives in the food, the junk food consumption, all these are factors. And living in an urban society where we have the pollution with automobiles and industries, they also add to the higher incidence of cancer in men. In women, it's slightly different. The 2 most important cancers are the breast cancer and uterine cervical cancer. Breast cancer is mainly due to the lifestyle, in the sense the number of children has come down. Now, we don't see any women giving birth to 7 or 8 children anymore. Normally, they give 1 child or 2 children. And another thing is they don't feed the child for more than 3 or 4 months. That is one of the main factors, number of children and feeding lesser duration. Second important factor is overweight. Women are overweight now for so many reasons, and that is one of the main reasons for higher incidence of breast cancer. There are other factors also. Coming to cervical cancer, it's a sexually transmitted disease. So the husbands are at fault. They transmit the disease. It is caused by a virus, human papilloma virus, which infects the women and stays in their body for about 5 years, and then it starts developing into a cancer. So these 2 cancers form about 65% of cancers in women. Of course, the food habits and the urbanization also contribute to other cancer, higher cancer incidence in stomach, colon, and uterine body. So these are the reasons for why we are having a higher incidence of cancer nowadays. This is true of all over the world.
So that's very elaborative, sir, and very useful information, sir. Thank you. My second question is to you, Mr. Kunal.
Yeah.
How Keto happened and what is the idea behind it?
Well, so, I was working in the social space with a number of NGOs, and I found that there were a lot of challenges that these NGOs were facing. One, of course, was the cost of fundraising was very, very high. Secondly, was that it was very difficult to reach out to new donors. And thirdly, I found that, when I looked at the ecosystem out west in the social space, there were a lot of young people involved. Whereas I felt like the the ecosystem here didn't allow that. There were not enough people that were involved, that were, from young adults that were involved in the whole social space. And I felt like we needed to make it more attractive for them to feel like this is something that I can do. So these were thoughts that were going on in my mind, and I happened to meet Varun Sheth, who's the co-founder, and he had also worked in the social space, and he had faced similar challenges. And we realized that we knew a lot of people that wanted to help, and we knew a lot of people that needed helping, but somehow these people were not coming together. And we felt like if we could use technology to build a bridge between people that can help and people that need helping, it could be something that's really powerful. So that's how Keto was born. And the idea behind it really was the democratization of capital. If you look at our country, very few people have access to capital. Capital is controlled by a few people, and the access to those people is very difficult. So you have a huge population that doesn't have access to capital for their health needs, for their social needs, for their entrepreneurial needs. And we felt like if we could sort of democratize capital and make it accessible to a lot more people, it could become something that's really powerful. So that's how it was born.
That's fantastic and inspiring, Mr. Kunal, actually. So I was just trying your website, actually, and I can see all young people's there, actually. All the three founders are very young and very dynamic. So nice of you. Professor Dr. Subramanian, sir, we know that cancer treatment is very expensive. Can you just throw some light, like why is that, and why is cancer treatment more expensive?
Yes. Now our aim is to cure cancer. Now, in 1971, when I entered into this field, we were able to cure only 20-25% of cancers. Now we are able to cure more than 70-75% of cancers. In a few years' time, we should be definitely able to cure more than 90% of cases. One of the main reasons is proper diagnosis, then appropriate treatment. The diagnosis itself is becoming costly nowadays because the biopsy is the important thing, and then we do other immunohistochemistry, mutation studies, genetic studies. So all this become costly. Secondly, we want to know the stage of the disease, extent of the disease spread. For this, we do a routinely whole body PET scan. PET scan is a very expensive diagnostic test. In America, they charge 3 lakhs for this test. In India, anywhere from 25 to 35,000. But our patients, we are able to do it for 15,000. But still, it is a costly test. So all this put together becomes a costly affair as far as diagnosis is concerned. Coming to the treatment, we have 3 forms of treatment: surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. It's a complementary to each other. And chemotherapy in general is a costly affair because the drugs are manufactured and tested for more than 10 years, and then the initial cost goes up very high. So the first 15 years, the cost of the medicine is very high. When we started in 70s, it used to be thousands, then becomes lakhs. Now it's becoming million. That sort of cost escalation is going on in the treatment of cancer chemotherapy. Coming to radiation also, previously we had only cobalt, which is about 1.25 crore. Nowadays, we are using linear accelerator, which are anywhere from 10 to 20 crores. So the instrument costs high. So the overall maintenance and the treatment costs of radiation also is going up. Coming to surgery also, we are doing all sorts of surgeries, very complicated, difficult surgeries. Sometimes patients are undergoing surgery for 6 to 10 hours in a given time. So overall, the treatment cost has gone up. The important thing is that with all these advances, we are able to cure a good number of people. The only thing is they should come early on. That's the important thing. Early disease is easily curable.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I think most of the time cancer is diagnosed, occasionally, like through some other findings. Actually, they come to know, they go for some other test, and they occasionally find they have cancer. And Mr. Kunal, how medical crowdfunding bridges the affordability gap? Can you throw some light on that?
So, we live in a world where technology is just changing everything around us and is affecting, obviously, and improving every industry. And even like the medical industry has not been untouched by technology. There's such huge advances that have been made in technology in medicine. And, you have genome editing, you have robotic surgeries now. I was just reading about nanoparticles being implanted in your blood that will
Yes.
give you live updates. So there's so much progress that is happening. But the point is that how many people actually will have access to this technology? This technology is so expensive. We live in a country where most of the people in this country don't have access to good health services. We live in a country where it's estimated that 20 million people have been pushed into poverty because they couldn't pay their medical bills. People have to take loans, they have to sell their jewelry, they have to sell their property, to get treated. So we live in a country where most people don't have access to basic health infrastructure. So you might have great technology, but the question is how many people will have access to that technology? The only way that can happen is if you democratize capital. If you make it possible for everybody to have access to capital. And I think that's what something like Keto does, is that in the past, if you needed 1 lakh rupees for your surgery, you would probably, and you didn't have the money and you weren't insured, because most people in this country aren't insured, you would probably take a loan. You'd have to sell, like I said, your jewelry or your property, or you'd reach out to 2 people and say, give me 50,000 rupees each. So you'd have a loan of 1 lakh rupees. What crowdfunding does is that it makes it possible for you to reach out to thousands of people across the world and ask them for small sums of money. So somebody might donate 100 rupees, someone 500, someone 1,000 rupees. And you could have 1 lakh rupees from people that you don't know, and 1 lakh rupees that you don't have to repay. So you don't have the burden of a loan, you don't have the burden of selling property. So that, I think, is the most important thing for us. And we've seen huge traction in the cities now and smaller towns. But, I feel like our mission really will not be accomplished until and unless we reach the most underprivileged, which is the, villages, places where people don't, like I said, have access to even the most basic infrastructure for health. So our mission really is to reach out to the most underprivileged and make, like I said, capital accessible to them, so that this technological revolution that is happening becomes accessible to everybody.
So that's great, Mr. Kunal. For a minute, I was confused. Am I speaking to Dr. Kunal or Mr. Kunal? Because you are currently updated with all affairs, actually, with nanotechnology, robotic surgery. That's fantastic. Subramanian, sir, what is the role of crowdfunding in cancer treatment, sir? Can you throw some light on that?
Yes, it's really a great service. In the sense, as Mr. Kunal has outlined, majority of people can't afford the present day treatment cost. Only about 10% of the population, I can say, can afford the standard of care for any cancer treatment. The remaining are definitely not able to meet with the cost. A good number of people are still in the poverty line, and to some extent, about 10 to 25% of the population now have gone for a medical insurance. That's a good start. Medical insurance definitely helps them, but those people who have not have any insurance of that sort, then the government, Tamil Nadu government, is in a way is helping the poor people by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister's health scheme. Through this, they are able to give up to 2 lakhs for the people, and again, this is not enough for the proper treatment of cancer. To some extent, we are able to help through our trust by subsidizing the treatment cost, giving free food and free beds and all that. But still, we are not able to meet the proper treatment costs in many of the patients. Here comes the role of Keto. Now, we don't ask for help from all the people, but those cancer patients who can't afford the treatment, whom I think are able to cure, only those deserving patients, we definitely go for the help of Keto. So here, Keto plays a very great role, and they are able to, support us in many situations where the patients are able to get a proper treatment and get cured. So this way, it's a great service. And another aspect is that this public participation in this service is a great thing because they directly everyone can't reach this, right? But as a group, as a crowdfunding, they are able to support the deserving cancer patients. That's a great service.
Thank you, sir. This is to you, Mr. Kunal. You know, one thing, like keto is very popular in Chennai. Like, no, wherever I see, wherever I go to any hospitals, no, whenever they could not afford or something, like, you know, immediately it has become an household name with all the patients now. Actually, they tell, like, no, why can't you go to keto or something like that? The awareness is good, actually. So I wanted to convey that to you first.
Thank you.
And we always see social media and technology is mostly used in destructive ways. So using social media or technology for a good thing like crowdfunding, how that initial spark happened? Maybe like it's a repetitive question, but we want to know more about that actually, like how the initial spark happened.
How did what happened?
Now, how did the initial spark of using the social media and technology for this type of crowdfunding happen?
Well, I think it's the most sort of natural progression. I mean, like you said, you know, social media is a really powerful force, and unfortunately, that powerful force is often used in destructive ways to spread misinformation, to you know, put out a lot of false news, which is unfortunate. But there also has, of course, there's a positive side to social media, and that is connecting people. So today, if I need help and I need to reach out to somebody, in the past, I would probably have to make calls to everybody. I'd have to, you know, cold call people and say, look, I need help. You know, when we were young, we used to have these little donation forms and we used to go door to door collecting money. So those were the tools that were available to you. Today, if I need money, all I have to do is I have to put out a post on Facebook, or I have to put out something on Twitter, and I have to ask people to share it, retweet it. I have WhatsApp. I can, you know, reach out to 500 people with just one message. So it becomes so much easier to reach out to people across the world. I mean, just to give you an example, now during the pandemic, I had a friend of mine whose daughter was watching the migrant crisis with him on TV. She's just 10 years old. And she was watching it and she said, Dad, I don't want to just sit around and watch. I want to do something, right? And she's just 10 years old. And he called me and he said, you know, can she start a fundraiser on your platform? I said, sure. So he said that she wants to help migrant laborers get back home. So she started a campaign, and through her Twitter and through her Facebook and Instagram and her father's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, they could reach out to people across the world. And they ended up raising 14 lakh rupees in 10 days to help migrant laborers get home. So in the past, this would have been impossible for her to do. She would have wanted to do something, but she would have not had the means or the avenue to do it. And really, I think how I look at ourselves at Keto is that we're just an avenue and a platform to connect people, to do good. And like, you know, for us, we have a slogan, which is Internet for Good, which is how do you use the power of something as powerful as the internet to do something that is good.
So that's a very humble reply, Mr. Kunal. Actually, I know you people are the best, blessed people in the earth. Actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Subramanian sir, yeah, my last questions to you. Is prevention the best and only way to fight the disease, or is there anything else for cancer?
Yes. Now the science is developing in a very fast stage. So we are able to cure most of the cases, but still when the cancer is advanced stage, stage 4, we are not able to cure a good number. So at the moment, we should concentrate on prevention as a first line of defense against cancer. Prevention comes under 2 headings: primary prevention and secondary prevention. Primary prevention is preventing cancer development. And for that, you need a healthy life, ideally a healthy life. Take fresh fruits and vegetables, avoid fried items, have a regular health checkup, have fitness programs to improve your immunity, and you go for a vaccination as far as cancer cervix is concerned. And these are all ways by which we can prevent the development of cancer. Secondary prevention is one where we diagnose the cancer in the early stage, stage 1. So at that stage, it's curable. So secondary prevention, I would advise people to go for a regular screening. as far as breast cancer is concerned, our advice is monthly self-breast examination for all women after the age of 20, and mammogram for all women after the age of 40 and periodically thereafter. If there is a high-risk family, suppose the mother is a cancer patient, then the daughter should go for a mammogram at the age of 30 onwards. So mammogram is one of the earliest signs of tests of diagnosed cancer in the early stage. As far as cervical cancer is concerned, they should go for a pap smear. All married women after 5 years of marriage, they should go for a pap smear. Gynecologist takes a small smear from the uterine cervix and then see this under the microscope whether there is any abnormal cells. This way we diagnose the cancer cervix in the early stage and we are able to cure them without minimum damage. And in fact, it's a vaccination available now, so that comes under the primary prevention. As far as men and women are concerned, they have to avoid the two habits: tobacco in any form and alcohol usage. These two are definitely very detrimental to the health and cause the higher incidence of cancer. So we have to avoid this. And the cancer screening is very important. All men after the age of 40 should go for a regular cancer screening. This way, we can diagnose the cancer in the very early stage, and early diagnosis is curative. There's no doubt about it. So the important thing is we need to develop awareness among the people and among the family doctors also, because some of the doctors say, no, you won't get it, don't worry. So this attitude should go. Anything that lasts for more than 2 weeks, any symptom, any lump or anything, they should go for a checkup. So this is very important. So this awareness should be definitely come to the public by the media, by the social media, and also by the government. And the doctors, we have our own way of distributing this knowledge to our public. So this important prevention, so that we don't spend money on treatment.
Okay, so self-examination, early diagnosis and prevention is very important when it comes to cancer. My question to Mr. Kunal, generally in our country, asking for donations for oneself is still looked down upon, especially when it comes to medical expenses or education, or things people hold close to their hearts. So you will be the right person to say how culturally our country has changed when it comes to this medical crowdfunding or crowdfunding in general.
Well, it's changed dramatically, actually. When we started, you're right, there was a certain sense of embarrassment, a shame attached to asking people for money that you didn't know. But what's happened, I think, over the years is that, and very organically, is that because you see so many people like yourself on a platform asking for money and getting funded successfully and getting treated, then you start asking yourself, why can't, if somebody else can ask, why can't I? What's the big deal? It's better than, like I said, selling a property or, taking a loan from somebody. And a lot of people that have actually contributed to a fundraiser are the ones that have gone in the future and started a fundraiser for themselves or somebody else. So I think there's a sense that when you've contributed to a fundraiser, you feel like, if I can help somebody, why can't somebody come forward and help me? And I think that's a really healthy thing. Because I think what the power of crowdfunding really is that so many strangers, we keep talking about how the world is a bad place, but on Keto, we see so many good things happening. We see so many strangers coming together to help somebody they don't know. And I think what can be better than that? Just from the goodness of your heart, you want to help somebody that you don't know that is in trouble. And when you do that, you realize that it's not a big deal. And, when you're in trouble, it's not a big deal to ask other people for help as well. So we've seen a huge shift in people's mindset. And I think that shame and embarrassment that was there initially, when we started as well, I don't see that anymore.
And finally, a few lines on your this pandemic milestone, Keto milestone. I think
right,
you have a lot of people.
Right. So we raised about 140 crores for the pandemic. And that was to help migrants get back home, to help people that didn't have enough money for food, to help with doctors with PPE kits, medical suits, medical equipment. What I found just absolutely amazing is that so many people that have never done anything of any sort of charity have come forward and, felt the need to help. And I think that for me is the only good thing that's come out of the pandemic, is people's need to help other people and to contribute and to make a difference. I mean, I have friends of mine that have never done anything and have called me and said, look, there's so many animals on the street that are not getting food, and I want to raise money for them. And have gone out and actually fed animals every day during the lockdown. So I think this need to contribute and make a difference, I think that's something that I hope continues even after we're done with this pandemic. I think that's the spark that has been created in people, and I hope that will, like I said, continue to be there. It doesn't go away once the pandemic's gone. So it's amazing to see so many people come together to help so many different causes. And like I said, people, really young people, someone as young as 10 years old has come forward and said that, look, I don't want to just sit and watch. I want to make a difference. So I think that for me is the only good thing that's come out of this pandemic.
I'm getting goosebumps, Mr. Kunal. Thank you so much, both Professor Subramanian sir and Mr. Kunal Kapoor, for joining us on this very informative, lively, and very important awareness session on Need of the Hour, marking the World Cancer Day, where we discussed on the disease, which is affecting a lot of general population, and also for keeping your answers very simple so that any layperson can understand. And my special thanks to Mr. Kunal, because most of our patients are also benefited with keto. On basis of the beneficiaries, I wanted to convey my regards. Actually, many young children, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, coming for bone marrow transplants have been benefited with keto. And keto has been very, very supportive for all these initiatives. So you both have given a very vital and important information to keep on our mind and follow. On behalf of VS Hospital, on behalf of all the beneficiaries all over India who are benefited with keto, I thank Mr. Kunal for joining us with this seminar. We look forward to have more of these useful sessions jointly with keto in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.